Sorry about that rough ending in the last tutorial, but you'll notice when I closed that PSB file, it automatically loaded back in Photoshop, and I am ready to scale this thing and put it where I want it. Now, it's a pretty grungy selection. I didn't do an awesome job, and I'm certainly not going to worry about it right now. I was just doing this just an example, and I'm going to use the transparency on those at a later time. Now, I do want to point out I've got these two quick logos here. One of them is a bitmap, and one of them is a vector. Now, you can't really tell, but I can remember which one, and I know the one on the top was a bitmap, and the one on the bottom was a vector. It's probably better for us to go ahead and leave the vector graphic and not have the bitmap image. Now, that should be said, that's usually true, but not always true. I do want to point out that if you double click on that, it will allow you to go ahead and change the vector graphic in Illustrator, which I didn't show last tutorial. So in this one, we're going to be continuing with actions and batch processing images. Now, we're going to be focusing on these images of the people drinking Coke. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring them all in to this comp and hit enter and enter and enter and enter. Now, one of the things that you might remember that I kind of did before, let me make sure, yeah, that's the one that I want to be at the bottom. One of the things that I said before is a really great way of working in Photoshop is by converting things to a smart object, even though when you bring them in, they're already a smart object. The reason why is if I decided to go and crop this image, if I come in here and I crop this image to a square, just the way I want it, and I decide that I want to add some color effects, some color balance to get it just the way I want the color to be, and I decide that I want to change my image size to exactly what I want for pixels, so resample this, resample, and I want that to be 200 pixels by 200 pixels. This is a lot of typing and stuff, by the way. If I do that, then when I close this thing, it says, do you want to save the changes to that document? You say JPEG, but then it comes up with a PSB file, or PSD file. And so it's actually not going to be saving over that JPEG file. And I might not want to change over that JPEG anyway, especially if I want to adjust my crop. So what you want to do is you want to convert these things into new smart objects as soon as you bring them in. And what these do are these create those PSB files, so that now I can take all of these and group them with Control G, and these are people. Now, with those, when I go into each one, if I double click on it, now I'm inside of a PSB file, which means that if I go ahead and do that crop thing again, then I can crop it and make all the adjustments that I want, and then when I close this, it'll be opened up back in the comp. But before I do that, I know that what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little color correction, I'm going to do a little cropping, and I'm going to scale it to just what I want. But here's where it would be really nice if we used an action so that I can go ahead and do this multiple times. So I'm going to do that. Let me go ahead and close that. A lot of times, if you're just using Photoshop routinely, you may not have even created your own actions. So we're going to create a really quick one here. I'm going to create a new folder, and it's going to be called set1, and I'm going to do a new action. And this is going to be crop 200x. So now I have a name for it. Now I'm going to choose the crop tool, and I want you to be aware of one of these that I think is really great. This is an awesome feature. The ability to crop it to the exact pixel dimensions that you want and at the resolution that you want at the same time is absolutely amazing. So I'm going to do 200 pixels by 200 pixels at 72 dots per inch. And now I can scale that in just a little bit and move it around the way I want. Now this is the other thing that's really cool. This right here allows me to not crop those pixels or not delete the cropped pixels in case I want to edit this crop. But here's the thing, you don't even have to do that because of the fact that since this is a smart object, I can already move that object around inside that crop just a little bit if I need to get it just right. So it's an extra bonus of having it be a smart object inside of here anyway. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and add, let's see, a brightness and contrast, or a little curves. If I want to add a little curves to it, that looks great. And I think I want to go ahead and close that. So I'm going to go ahead and close. Yay. So now that's been closed, and now I can go back to my actions and go ahead and stop it. Now what's cool about this is that I can apply this same effect on another one. All I have to do is double click on this item and then go ahead and run this action. So I'm going to go ahead and run it, but I want to interrupt the crop, and the reason why is because by interrupting the crop and even interrupting the adjustment layer, what I can do is choose what area I want to crop to, and it's still going to apply 200 pixels by 200 pixels, and then do that, and I can do a curves, it's not a great photo, that's alright, but now it's brought it in, and notice that, whoops, that photo is exactly the same size, the monkey is the same size as the guy exactly. So that is spectacular that it's that easy to do it. Now I'm also going to apply another action, because wouldn't it be cool if we could download our own actions? And it just so happens that we can, and I found one at Brush Easy, which is called Instant Hipster, and this is a great way of making everything look the same. So I'm going to actually load this action that I've downloaded, and I have it here in my temp folder, PSD add-ons. There's the Instant Hipster, and now what's cool about that is that I've got this bunch of actions here, and if I go into the kid, I'm going to go ahead and first let me not close that. I'm going to not close those two from the original. I'm going to go ahead and crop it first. Go ahead and apply a little actions here, or different colors. Yikes, that is not the best color I've ever seen. How about I do the auto? And I could go ahead and apply, let's see, auto tone might work. Whoops. Let me apply auto tone. Oh, it's not going to apply it because it is not going to work on the original. That would be something to know. Anyway, I'm going to go to Instant Hipster and apply one of these. Maybe the Hudson would look better. I don't know. There we go. There's the Hudson. But so anyway, I've got a lot going on this particular one, and then I can close that, and it goes back and it puts it right back in there. So the nice thing about actions is that you can do some really creative ones. I'm not really doing a great job here, but here's the last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to open up that and open up that one and open up that one. So I've got all three of them open right now, and as soon as I go back to this other one, I can really go through these quickly just by cropping this and running that the way that I want. And that color correction did really nice. Did the color correction first, then I'm going to apply that. Curves, I'm not going to change it, just OK, and close. Beautiful. And so we'd go through the rest of them just the same way. The crop, let's go ahead and close that, so boom. And the last one is that one, the girl. Beautiful. Now I did mess up a little bit with her, which is good to know, because I just noticed that with the girl I didn't cut off the bottom of her. So there's where you have the opportunity to go back, and you'll see I can just adjust a little bit, and that makes a difference when you have that ability. And you only get that ability when you've got these kind of doubly embedded things. So go ahead and do that, and then what we're going to do is align these in the next assignment or the next tutorial and play with things a little bit more.